I am back with another Money Moves episode. Let's go ahead and see where the money has been flowing in the world of technology. Boosted by defense and Starlink, Orca AI pulls in $72.5 million for its autonomous shipping platform. The autonomous navigation market, where ships guided by AI steer themselves, resulting in fuel and time savings, is projected to sail past $11 billion by 2028. As a result, companies in the space are pushing on an open door. The latest is Orca AI, which closed a Series B funding round of $72.5 million, led by Brighton Park Capital. Existing investors Ancona Capital and Hyperlink Ventures also participated. The London-based company has now raised over $111 million, including a $23 million funding round last year. Orca AI applies AI-powered decision-making and autonomous capabilities to ships based on a marine visual data set of over 80 million nautical miles. By employing AI in navigation, it's possible to significantly reduce collisions and allow crews to focus attention on other aspects of the voyage. Orca's growth is also benefiting from the expansion of Starlink, which allows real-time data to be transmitted to Orca AI for mapping routes, traffic monitoring, and sharing critical information. The company claims that a 2024 analysis of Orca AI's alert system showed a 54% reduction in close encounter events, leading to an average of $100,000 in savings in fuel per vessel per year. German dual-use drone maker becomes unicorn amid defense tech boom. German drone maker Quantum Systems has raised 160 million euros at a valuation north of 1 billion euros, becoming Europe's latest defense tech unicorn. Quantum Systems builds electric AI-powered autonomous surveillance drones that are dual-use, meaning they can serve both military and civil purposes. Defense forces can use the unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs, to spy on enemies and gather intel. The drones can also be used by farmers to inspect their crops, by energy companies to check power lines, and by search and rescue teams to look for survivors. The latest funding round, led by UK's Balderton Capital, brings Quantum Systems' total capital raised to $284 million, according to data. The round also saw participation from Airbus Defence and Space, Bullhound Capital, and existing angel investor Peter Thiel. Quantum Systems has already secured several major defense contracts, including the German, Spanish, and British Armed Forces. Quantum Systems is benefiting from a surge in European defense tech investment. This growth is partly fueled by rising security concerns driven by geopolitics. Mark Cuban doubles down. Kind Designs closes seed one round, led by Overlay Capital, at $30 million valuation. Kind Designs, the Miami-based startup 3D printing the world's first living seawalls, announced the closing of its seed one funding round, led by Overlay Capital, with participation from strategic investors across construction, government, and infrastructure sectors. Kind Designs raised $5 million at a $30 million valuation, with Mark Cuban doubling down on his initial investment. Since its launch in seed round in 2024, Kind Designs has scaled significantly, moving into a 50,000 square foot facility in Miami, expanding its teams to 3 robots and 10 employees, and installing its first 3D printed seawall in Miami Beach. Kind Designs has been printing back-to-back residential and commercial projects since closing 2024, with a $600,000 in revenue, expanding its product offering and winning its first 2 government contracts in Florida. Kind Designs secured Phase 1 grants from both the U.S. Navy and U.S. Air Force, with Phase 2 projects now underway at MacDill Air Force Base and South Florida Ocean Measurement Facility. The company's leadership has actively engaged federal, state, and local officials to position its living seawalls as the gold standard for coastal infrastructure. These government wins have contributed to a growing $180 million pipeline of public sector projects slated for 2025 and 2026. The company currently has a $10 million residential project pipeline within South Florida and 8 projects underway in New York City, marking a strategic expansion beyond Florida. Recent legislative wins in marine studies have further validated Kind Designs' approach, promoting biomimicry designs that enhance coastal ecosystems and are a win-win for businesses and homeowners. In more Money Moves news, BluSmart investors propose $30 million in new funding to revive the Uber rival. A group of investors are considering a plan to inject another $30 million into BluSmart in in a bid to revive the Indian cab-hailing startup, which abruptly halted operations last month. The proposal from these existing investors has a catch. It's contingent on BluSmart co-founder Amal Singh Jaggi agreeing to resign. The proposed investment will be treated in the form of unsecured debt and will be aimed at fixing the startup's operational liabilities, including pending dues and employee salaries. BluSmart's investors with pro-rata rights, including BP Ventures and Switzerland-based Responsibility, started discussing the resolution last week. BluSmart halted operations last month after a probe was launched into Gensol Engineering, its primary EV lessor and the company that shares Jaggi as its co-founder. About 8,700 EVs on BluSmart's fleet have also been abandoned due to the suspension of its service. This could affect the health of batteries and other components on the vehicles if the startup does not restart its services soon. Climate investment fund Eversource Capital, which is backed by Britain's BP, shared an interest in buying BluSmart in a slump sale last month. Nevertheless, BluSmart investors hope the startup could be better positioned to attract investments from strategics like Eversource Capital, Uber, or Adani after restarting its operations. DoorDash is buying British rival Deliveroo for $3.9 billion. The acquisition will strengthen DoorDash's position as a leading global platform. Deliveroo operates in 9 regions, namely Belgium, France, Italy, Ireland, Kuwait, Qatar, Singapore, United Arab Emirates, and the United Kingdom. All those regions are new for DoorDash and will give the combined companies access to a total population that exceeds 1 billion people. It doesn't sound like DoorDash is erasing Deliveroo's brand after it takes over. Instead, they'll both be part of an enlarged group operating in multiple regions around the world, giving DoorDash an expanded presence in Europe and giving it an entry into the Middle Eastern market. The acquisition is still subject to regulatory and antitrust approvals, and as it was noted, this marks the end of Deliveroo's problems as a public company. ServiceNow acquires Data.World months after snatching up MoveWorks. ServiceNow said that it has signed a definitive agreement to acquire Data.World, a cloud-native catalog and data governance platform. Austin, Texas-based DataWorld was founded in 2015 and previously raised more than $130 million in venture financing from firms such as Alumni Ventures, Proglosis Ventures, and Shasta Ventures. DataWorld helps enterprises organize and easily search through data. The addition of DataWorld data governance tools will help customers get the most out of their AI agents and other forms of AI automation. Data.World will begin integrating into ServiceNow, with the Data.World's platform being offered as a product to ServiceNow customers in the near future. On to our next Money Moves news. Rippling raises $450 million at a $6.8 billion valuation and has revealed YC as a customer. HR tech startup Rippling has raised a $450 million Series G round at a $16.8 billion valuation. It is also conducting a $200 million tender offer to give current and former employees some liquidity. The equity raise marks a big jump in valuation from a year ago. In April 2024, Rippling was valued at $13.4 billion when it raised a $200 million Series F round led by Kotu and a $590 million tender offer with $200 million available for employees. The latest financing includes participation from a group of new and existing investors. New backers include Sands Capital, GIC, Goldman Sachs Growth, and Bali Guilford. Existing investors such as Alad Gill, Y Combinator, and others also participated. With this latest capital injection, Rippling has now raised $1.85 billion. It has over 20,000 customers and more than 4,000 employees. Other investors include Kleiner Perkins, Green Oaks Capital, and Founders Fund. Rippling has evolved its offering over time and now has 24 products, including payroll and benefits, SSO and identity management, bill pay, and corporate cards. The new capital will help it accelerate its expansion into new markets, enhance existing products, and support the development of new products. A stealth AI model beat DALL-E and Midjourney on a popular benchmark, and its creator just landed $30 million. Recraft, the startup behind a mysterious image model that beat OpenAI's DALL-E and Midjourney on a respected industry benchmark last year, has raised a $30 million Series B round led by Excel. Other investors in the round include Closela Ventures and Madrona. Based in San Francisco, Recraft previously raised a $12 million Series A led by Khosla in 2024. Recraft says it builds its own models from scratch and competes with other image generators like Midjourney, Adobe Firefly, Stable Diffusion, and Black Forest Labs. But Recraft's AI particularly excels at generating images for brands. This means allowing them to place logos exactly where needed without extra editing, or easily generating new marketing materials like brochures and posters that comply with existing branding guidelines. It's an area where existing image models often fall short, and that puts Recraft closer to competing with design tools like Canva, which also has an AI generator for branding purposes. Relevance AI raises $24 million to help businesses build AI agents. Relevance AI, a San Francisco and Sydney-based startup developing an AI agent operating system to enable businesses to build teams of AI agents, has raised $24 million in a Series B funding round led by Bessemer Venture Partners. Returning investors King River Capital, Insight Partners, and Peak XV also participated, bringing Relevance's total raise to $37 million. The fundraising comes about a year and a half after the startup closed its Series A. Relevance says that it has experienced rapid growth, with 40,000 AI agents registered on its platform in January of this year. Customers include Qualified, Activision, and Safety Culture. Relevance says that they'll use the new funding to further enhance the product capabilities of its AI agents and provide support to customers in its primary markets of Australia and the US. Coinciding with its Series B funding, Relevance is introducing two new features on its platform. Workforce is a no-code multi-agent system designed to help non-technical professionals and engineers build specialized teams of agents to collaborate like human employees, completing complex processes from start to finish. Invent is a tool that lets users create AI agents using text prompts. In our next Money Moves news, we have Money Fellows raises $13 million to take its group savings model outside Egypt. While most African digital lenders depend on working capital to fuel growth, Money Fellows has quietly done what few others have: lend billions of Egyptian pounds with almost no debt or balance sheet exposure. Now, after raising $13 million in a pre-Series C round led by Casablanca-based AI Mata Ventures and DPI's Include Fund, the Cairo-based fintech says it's ready to shift from steady growth to regional expansion. The round, which also drew participation from Partech Africa and Commerce Ventures, brings the company's total funding to just over $60 million. Founder and CEO Ahmed Wadi noted that unlike fintechs burning through cash to scale, the startup has kept operations lean while digitizing one of the world's oldest financial systems, the Rotating Savings and Credit Association, ROSCA. Money Fellows digitizes their model by opening access to a broader pool of users across the country. Rather than act as a lender, Money Fellows matches savers and borrowers using behavioral data, credit scores, and income tiers. The company is eyeing other African and South Asian markets with similar dynamics. However, entering more diverse markets will test the model's adaptability in regions where informal finance is less culturally relevant or formal banking is more entrenched. Blink lands $25 million to further its mission to make business cards passé. Blink, a startup out of Melbourne, bet that a trend would take off when it started off as a hobby project in 2017, offering a digital business card app with a QR code widget. Recently, the company is making off with a bag of gold. It has now more than 2.5 million users, both individual customers and across 500,000 companies in the US, Canada, the UK, and Australia. Off the back of that progress, the startup has now raised a $25 million Series A funding round led by Turing Capital. Returning backers Blackbird Ventures and Square Peg Capital also participated in the round, as did new investor HubSpot Ventures. Blink's app lets users create several customized digital business cards for different needs and connect with contacts using them. The app can also automatically capture details and sync them with CRM systems such as HubSpot or Salesforce by using QR codes, email signatures, NFCs, short links, or video call backgrounds. CEO Webb sees digital business cards as more than just an endpoint. We're focused on giving people everything they need to turn first impressions into real momentum, from dynamic, context-rich profiles to smart ways to stay top of mind.